This video is on the circles quiz. So in this one, remember, you must show all work, even for the multiple choice questions. First thing that this quiz gives us is a reference sheet parallelogram. That is what a rectangle, well, a rectangle is a parallelogram. We can find the area of a parallelogram by multiplying the base by the height. Circle's area can be found by multiplying pi by the radius squared. And circumference of a circle can be found by multiplying pi by d, which is the same as doing 2 times the radius times pi. So question number 1 asked, the distance from the center of a circle to the edge is 4 feet. What answer the following? What is the length of the radius? Length of the radius, well, the radius is the distance from the center of a circle to the edge. So they gave you the radius right there. The radius is 4 feet. Over here it says, what is the length of the diameter? Well, the length of the diameter, remember, diameter equals 2 times r. R stands for radius. If the radius is 4, we do 2 times 4. Therefore, we find out the diameter is 8. So 8 feet would be the diameter. Okay, number 2 in this one, what is the radius in centimeters of a circle that has a circumference of 16 pi centimeters? So we want to remember that a radius, or I'm sorry, that a circumference is the distance around a circle. We have the formula to find the circumference right up here. C equals pi times d. I put it as d times pi. I'll go ahead, I'll write that now. C equals d multiplied by pi. Well, to keep going with this one, they tell us that it has a circumference of 16 pi centimeters. So C is 16 pi. If the circumference is 16 pi, and the formula to find circumference is d multiplied by pi, you can find out what the diameter is first by getting d alone. D stands for diameter. We divide both sides by pi. That cancels out there, and it also cancels out here. So we would have 16 equals d, d for diameter, but the question's asking about the radius. So the radius, so we have to remember that d equals 2 times r, which is radius. If the diameter is 16, we would put 16 here. 16 equals 2 times r. We want to find out what the radius is, so we'll get r all by itself. We'll do that by dividing by 2. And we find out that 8 equals r. So the radius was, or is, 8. Number 3, Caio used wire fencing to form a border around a circular region in his backyard. If the radius of the circular region was 5 yards, what is the total length of the border rounded to the nearest tenth of a yard? So this one takes a little bit more thinking. First off, he's using wire fencing to form a border around a circular region. So your first decision is, oh, are they talking about circumference or area? They are talking about circumference. So circumference is the distance around a circle. So I'll draw a little diagram. Here's a little diagram of that circular region he's going to build a fence around in his backyard. Here's the center of it. They tell us that the radius of the circular region was 5 yards. So the radius, the distance from the center to the edge, is 5 yards. What was the total length of the border rounded to the nearest tenth of a yard? So they're asking, when they're asking what was the total length of the border, they want to know how far is it all the way around? Well, the distance all the way around is the circumference. Circumference, C, equals d, the diameter, times pi. Thing is we don't know what d is right now. We don't know what the diameter is right now. So just like we were doing in the previous couple questions, we remember diameter equals 2 times r, r being the radius. They tell us the radius is 5 yards. So we'll put d equals 2 times 5. 5 for radius. D, therefore d equals 10. So the circumference is found by 10 multiplied by pi. We're going to use the pi button in our calculator. So we drop down our 10. 10 multiplied by pi button in your calculator. Go ahead, press it. And you get 31.414. And we see how it keeps going on and on and on. The nearest tenth of a yard, though, 4 is in the 10th spot. We look at the number behind it to decide whether that 4 goes up to a 5 or stays as a 4. Since the number behind it is a 1, the rule is for rounding. If it is 4 or less, if this number behind our place value is 4 or less, it stays the same. If it's 5 or more, it goes up. So in this case, it's going to stay as 31.4. So choice B. All right, on to number 4. It says a circle has a diameter of 26 units. What is the area of the circle to the nearest hundredth of a square unit? In this one, we're talking about area. First time we're really talking about area. Area, the formula for area, they actually gave it to you right at the top in the reference sheet. Circle is A, area equals pi times the radius squared. So we'll copy that down real quick. Now the thing with this one is they give us a diameter. So we have to get the radius from a diameter of 26 units. That's pretty easy. Remember, diameter is just equal to 2 times r. If the diameter they give us is 26, we just put a 26 instead of the d. We're focusing on getting the r all by itself. To move that 2, it's being multiplied, so we divide. Have to do the same to the other side. These cancel out. 26 divided by 2 gives us 13. So there we go. We now have our radius. Area equals pi times, now it's going to be 13 to the second power. So once we solve 13 to the second power, remember that's 13 times itself. 13 times itself, you'll get 169. Now we're going to use that pi button on our calculator to find out what pi times 169 is. So from that you get 530.9291, and it keeps going on forever. They wanted us to round to the nearest hundredth of a square unit. So the hundredth is 2 numbers after the decimal. So this is the number we're making a decision on. Is this 2 going to stay a 2, or is it going to go up to a 3? We look at the 9 behind it. Since there's a 9 behind it, and that's greater than 5, that 2 is going to round up to a 3. So the area will equal 530.93 square units. What do you say? Units squared. Choice B. All right, last one. Jordan is baking brownies and will choose to use either a round or rectangular pan. The dimensions of the bottom of each pan are shown below. We have the bottom of a round pan and the bottom of a rectangular pan. Which statement correctly describes how the area of the bottom of the round pan compares to the area of the rectangular pan? So they are talking about the area of each of these. Let's go ahead, let's find the area of each of these. Well, round pan is a circle. The area of a circle is equal to pi r to the second. In this one, the diameter, the distance all the way across is 10. So from here to here is 10. That means the distance from halfway from the center to the edge is just 5. Again, you could have also done d equals 2 times r. The diameter is 10. You could have found the radius like that also. Dividing each side by 2. And then you find out that your radius is 5. So area equals pi times 5 to the second. Area equals, let's see, 5 times itself gives us 25. Now for this step, I'm going to be a little strategic. I'm going to look at my answer choices. In this one, they say the area of the round pan, the area of the bottom of the round pan is greater than the area of the rectangular pan by about 8.5 inches. So they're going to the tenths there. They're going by the tenths in each of these answer choices. So they're doing one number after the decimal. So I know that I can use 3.14 for pi, or, I could actually just type in pi times 25 on my calculator and then round it to the nearest tenth. I'll do it that method. So after I typed in pi times 25 on my calculator, I got 78.53, and it keeps going on forever. But I am just looking to round to nearest tenth because all of my answer choices only have one number after the decimal. So I'm going to say area of the round pan equals 78 point, and that's going to stay a 5 because the 3 after it makes it stay a 5. And that's inches to the second power. On this one, rectangular pan, rectangle's easy. Rectangle, area of a rectangle is just length times width or base times height. We'll put it as length multiplied by width. We'll say the length is 10. We see how it's 10 units wide or long by 7 units wide, or 7 inches, I should say. We actually know the units. So the area is 70 inches. So what is the difference? What is the difference between the round pan and the rectangular pan? Well, the difference between them, difference means subtraction, or you can kind of just think it through, how far apart are they, is 8.5, and these were both measured in inches, so 8.5 inches. Remembering that the round pan is the greater area amount. So the area of the bottom of the round pan is greater than the area of the bottom of the rectangular pan by, there it is, it's that top A right there, 8.5 square inches.